Thank you, and thanks to ARC for organizing this in VerseFest and all the many, many hands, visible and invisible, that make a complicated event like this happen. I imagine many of you know that Thomas Tranströmer died this morning. Maybe you've been reading his poems all day as a consequence, I don't know. But I thought I'd share one of his in memorial to start. It comes from Ottawa's Bouchette Books. It was about 10 years ago. Translation by Don Coles. Madrigal. Which kind of links to your poem, actually. I inherited a dark wood where I seldom go. But there comes a day when the dead and the living change places. Then the wood sets itself in motion. We are not without hope. The worst crimes are not cleared up in spite of the assigning of many policemen. In the same way, somewhere in our life is a great uncleared up love. I inherited a dark wood, but today I'm going into another wood, the bright one. Everything living sings, stoops, waves, creeps. It's spring and the air's potent. I have an exam at Oblivion's university, and I am just as empty-handed as the shirt on the laundry line. And next I'm going to read from the Pedrada Shrunken, which this is the Ottawa launch. Thank you. Thank you, lone person. And the first poem was in the Event magazine some years ago, and it's on request. We've talked about this. I opened the trunk and saw that against my wishes, you are again keeping river trout in the basement of our car. The basin of the underbody tank thinly swayed with dorsal fins. Towards the light and shallows of the carpet, one trout was stiff. I thought it was dead. Its eyes were closed. When I lifted it back to the water, it slowly reanimated, blinked, then shifted its peduncle. With a caterpillar's grace it came, pectoral fins as elbows sauntering towards me. Then we saw, on the thick licorice lip of the trunk, the bat examining us. No, it was a curl-crested manucode bird of paradise, his long trachea fluting. He began to puff his mating hop. The trout's eyes widened, pulling back bewildered, commando crawling backwards towards seats, windshield, the sanctity of an all-trout world. The next poem is sort of a mixture of string search and Lupo and advice. Although I wouldn't think you should follow any of this advice. Making children from that's not what I Making children from scratch and sniff. Couples try to avoid standard style of wedding celebrations. That stabilizes the torque. It's good to stretch and explore. That keeps one young or going prematurely gray. Soon your child will learn to identify you, her school bag, learn the mealtime routines. That involves opening a lunchbox, folding a napkin, eating alkaline foods to help promote physical energy and enormous abundance. Then putting everything back after the meal is over, including you and your place a garlic clove on any afflicted tooth until the bacteria gradually has lost its independence. Time spent on the funeral is typically 2 days. Sometimes the walls seem so thick you could cut slices through them with a putty knife. sometimes a chainsaw without any unpleasant incidents. In the centuries to come, remote control airplanes will become the staple food for native tribes on her area of the campus. The government has taken great measures to protect the shallow coral reefs that surround the island of higher redaction. Are you busy? Are you doing well? Those go hand in hand until either busy or well runs too fast for the other to stay clasped. Now one can easily let them roam around anywhere, run rampant, and still they keep in touch, costumed in sugar, honey, and catch-22s. And where's 4? There we go. No, that's a 9. Penmanship, it's so important. At the bus, as it wends through another station. And this one pretty much takes in the universe Mandela idea. The ragdoll flop bounce excitement of double-deckers then, I don't know, maybe you should ask John. He knows a lot of stuff. Mommy, you mean John knows lots of stuff but you don't? Oh, I know lots of stuff too, but John knows more about dragons. Cleverness can be a component, but not the sole point, because there's not enough value added. It's like a shirt. The right cut, the wrong material, cut, size, price. Poems can't have only music, illusion, freshness, death, or beauty. I forgot that. Oh well. I'll get back to it. Meanwhile, Bacillus subtilis throws its tiny wrench into the belly button fungi, and Staphylococcus epidermis breathes. As oxygen access falls, it switches energy supplies into fermenting sugars, brews nips of navel wine. Before 7 billion more years come, when Andromeda and the Milky Way collide and merge, we can already name that unborn, know what we will never see occur, Milkdromeda, which sounds like a dairy operation for camels. But where, let me see, this one is, we're thinking how we think about categories of things. But where are you from, really? I'm precisely Italian, also quintessentially Aquarius, and Muslim, and obviously British Sagittarius, and you're the monkey. And evidence of confirmation bias outnumbers our electrons. None of the causes are in the right place to explain a skin tone or intonational shift. We are always settling into a new now. Country is sedimentary, my dear Toxin. You have a joie de vivre. Our country is of labels, disconnects, digital immigrants, and quantum flux. How many houses and jobs and families have you had? Absence makes the heart grow nomads. We are cheerleaders standing on the pyramid of temporary workers, the cleaners, the fruit pickers, the piecework factory workers, the kids shrugged off to fill out the retirements of grandparents. We all make this deity of daily. Can we say in God we dust? How about us being the same as our cousins, the manta rays, marsupials, mollusks? The layers of omissions are reminders too. I'm a condo for flora and fauna, made for the screw of your thumb. Dig shoulders not. I'm in that small release, at least until I'm not. Diversions. And while we're talking, never schedule a haircut while your stylist is going through a divorce. Also, oppose vehemently whatever is suggested. Not by the hairstylist, we've moved on, keep up. Oppose vehemently heritage verses, males verses, Bible verses, the venial sins of laying on the horn. Oppose everything. Retrieve for forever the complex, contentious, whatever-y busy work is good work, good deed even. It will lead to properties you can use and know you can handle whatever and adapt. Resilience will be the restructuring of resilience. One for the country music fans. Hank Williams Sr., Pollyanna. Being in love is a kind of grief. Being in grief is a kind of being in love. Carrying the weight of that second person on your own sparrow thighs. For those of you who got here last night, you heard Nick Laird's love poems, which you should, if you were there, you should have taken notes for future use. They're very good. So I have a few love poems as well. First is called I Call You at Work. Oh mon lapin d'amour, waiting becomes a ringing so loud inside, it raises hives, blotches out steadiness, leaves voice winded, husky. I can only think of your snarling 6-inch dog. I'd rather phone than wait for it to ring, because waiting to find the nerve to dial, to interrupt that factory finish voice of impartial and the natter slays. Never dull dulcimer, my crepe paper heart would move the lithosphere to sing out this possibility, which is Saturday, when we will blurt out, in lieu of love, cilantro. You will dance your two-step kiss on my brow. We will be a holly of snow angels. And 3 remaining. Plinking the rib cage, pardon me, a bit tricky lighting. Plinking the rib keg of Budoki to Mayoki. The particulars of our rituals, of the penguin flappy dance, is a lake sparkle. You're the kalimba of algae mending themselves from sootier slots of wind. You're the rain spout coursing ample. At least a week has elapsed, even as we blink at one another. You are my recovery. You have a certain qualité. I am, you are, and we conjugate ourselves into hums that become harmony hands as they rub, spin, until components float apart. A car rusts out from salt. The meaning of a word disintegrates with mileage. Olive, 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 olive. Something about live and O. O becomes a pictograph, a Chinese radical to modify live. Any meaning will change its derivation with enough time. Take, for example, what you meant to me before and after we agreed to never again speak. Meaning migrates with people. Every example can't prove the point. 1150 to 1200 Middle English from Old French, from Latin oliva, from dialectical Greek ilova, olive. Constants confound quantum flux. I love, I love, I love, I love. We see what we want and when. Who we want dies, are kept. Your Adam's apple bobs in another throat. To see one person in another is to grant immortality to the first. What does it do to the second? We pass on our desires. Thick hips my father held as security. I picked it up. Perhaps it's 7 generations long. In the store window, a toy for toddlers. Wooden wheels, big fenders, pastel cars to love, to death, or to dada. And the last poem is from Cocoa Cabin, which is at the back and has three of the other co-readers of the festival, Amanda Earle, who read earlier, and Roland Provost, who reads tomorrow, and Steve Artell, who reads soon. I can't remember which day. Calm Commerce. Oh, I'd ask for a show of hands, but I can't see any of you, so you can look at each other of who loves chocolate. Calm Commerce. Cocoa. Debuttered. Put in hospital gowns of cheapest fats. Waxy, tone-matched, vats of burnt, moldy floater beans, foully McDeed. All-season saccharine confectionery, sales scents, bean overwritten with caramel, salt, assaulted with alkali, antioxidant stripped. There could have been swift, hip-pressed dialogue. Who are we? We existential in-line, middle-class, hard-seat travelers among names. Shade-grown, snap luxuries, Creole Espanola, Côte d'Ivoire, Nestle slaves, mind the gap between those who pick and those who eat. Our tissues, in this, our pesticide era, know which side of the economy we're secured on, or almost. Container ships of our doctrine forklifted. Slit from plastic, these bars, a kind of death grin, considers origins, the coffin of commerce, big core cash crop child labor versus co-op, after purchase dolce, Vita list of options, single origin character of a soil's wit, peppery, delicate, complex, mineral, lime, plum, small batches, like cream without cream, molecularly smooth, spine shiver greeting, cocoa cabin from family-run farms, heritage varieties, planted by the French in Vietnam, feral for decades, retended, Organa, Nicaragua, meet your migraine maker singly or blended. A rough hemp sack from Dominican Republic sorted from twigs, a listening roasting, each has a temperature for perfection. 30 seconds makes all the difference. Nibs to paste, then liquid conked for a few days, then chocolate melts as lovers do, at body's ready heat, the finger's insistent trace, the glide of a release, reliefs, layers of flavors, the first slip of salty, floral, spice stage, back of throat bitter. A whiskey-like shot as a cascade on scalp, a stage of goosebumps, weight lift the longer hair. Can you see it do that wave, a bird's jaw crest, flashing, fluffing, settling back, the EEG tingle cap of yes. Flushed to fingertips, hearts unclenches something it didn't know it gripped. Cocoa goggles begin. Tuta coo, pals, spiffify, spout decency. They survive their own follies somehow, don't they? Sweet velt of dearest cheeks. Let's refresh our palates with sea salt truffles, opera, Mexican hot cocoa, tarte au chocolat. Let's split a Palais Royal, ganache our teeth, halvesies of mulled wine bonbon. Till hourly doses, till smoker's itchy throat, hoarse note, gambler's joke of nexus, twitch as the muscles of cocoa hustle come unspooled into restless fatigue. Part of a body races, paces, while the rest is drained. What the body needs, more work between cocoa vaccinations. Thanks for your time.